Welcome to KYC News. We bring you the greatest and most up-to-date news of the day, and we invite you to stay tuned.
Russia-Ukraine War Peace Plan. It has now been more than 100 days since Russia attacked Ukraine, focusing on no limit to the conflict. The conflict can possibly delay for quite a long time, on the off chance that not years, and lead to the passings of a huge number of additional Ukrainians, as well as the obliteration of additional urban communities that will fuel a demolishing compassionate emergency. The United Nations Commission on Human Rights has affirmed that more than 4,000 Ukrainian regular citizens have been killed during Russia's intrusion, while the Ukrainian government guarantees a loss of life of north of 27,500. The conflict has brought about the best evacuee emergency since the finish of World War II. It is assessed that almost 5 million Ukrainians have left the country, while an extra 8 million have been uprooted inside Ukraine. These are stunning numbers that liken to north of 33% of Ukraine's residents being driven away from their homes. Besides, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as of late proclaimed that Russian powers presently control 20% of Ukraine's domain. While Western news sources proceed to erroneously report that Ukraine is winning the conflict, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has shown that Russia is gaining steady headway towards accomplishing its tactical targets. As per a new Western knowledge report, despite the fact that the United States is furnishing Ukraine with 4 to multiple times more military guide than Kyiv spends on its military every year, Ukraine is losing the Battle of the Donbass and languishing outrageous misfortunes while being outgunned 20-1 in mounted guns. Ukrainian soldiers are running out of ammo, progressively crippled, and starting to abandon. The report likewise uncovered that most Ukrainian mounted guns is restricted to a scope of 25 kilometers, while Russian gunnery and rocket launchers can strike from multiple times that distance. It likewise expressed that Ukraine's negotiating posture has been debilitated since Russia has in excess of multiple times the quantity of detainees of battle than Ukraine. The Insight report closed by expressing, "It is plain that a traditional conflict can't be won on the off chance that your side has a few times less weapons. Your weapons hit the foe at a more limited distance, and you have essentially less ammo than the foe." While surrendering the dangers of Russian atomic heightening, President Biden as of late explained that the United States doesn't look for an immediate conflict with Russia, nor will it support the defeat of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Subsequent to pronouncing last month that its goal was to debilitate Russia and annihilate its capacity to wage hostile conflict, the Biden organization presently says that the motivation behind U.S. military help is to reinforce Ukraine's capacity to arrange a better non-aggression treaty. When inquired as to whether Ukraine could need to surrender a portion of its domain in an arranged non-aggression treaty with Russia, Biden didn't preclude the chance. What follows is a proposed 15-point harmony intend to end the Russo-Ukrainian war. These are awesome and most sensible terms Ukraine can expect, as well as the terms probably going to be pleasant to the two sides. Such an arranged trade-off non-aggression treaty could be intervened by France, Germany, Italy, Turkey, and Israel, and would be trailed by a suspension of every single military activity and the withdrawal of all Russian military powers from Ukraine beyond the Donbass locale. As far as anyone is concerned, this is the principal thorough harmony recommendation that has been distributed in a Western diary, and it endeavors to forever determine, as opposed to delay, the goal of all current areas of dispute among Russia and Ukraine, to guarantee that Russia will not have any motivation to continue threats against Ukraine later on. This proposition likewise addresses a portion of Russia's most squeezing security worries while effectively upgrading the security of NATO individuals by decreasing the possibilities of a future struggle with Russia. 1. Ukraine will alter its constitution to turn out to be for all time nonpartisan. Its autonomy, impartiality, public power, and regional uprightness will be ensured by the long-lasting individuals from the United Nations Security Council and molded upon Ukraine's consistence with the provisions of the non-aggression treaty. Consequently, Russia will perceive the authenticity of the ongoing legislature of Ukraine and disavow any aim to supplant current Ukrainian government pioneers with ones more amiable to Moscow. 2. Ukraine perceives Russia's 2014 reunification with Crimea and disavows all goals to recuperate it forcibly, etc. 3. All Russia will pull out its tactical powers to their pre-intrusion positions, including from the Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kherson Oblasts, yet with the exception of the Donbas locale, where the new line of control among Russia and Ukraine will be updated to the line of control as it exists at the execution of this understanding. 4. A well-known mandate will be held by September 2022 for the whole Donbas locale, including both the Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts, on whether their residents wish to become free or get back to Ukrainian control. This mandate will be directed by the particular states of the Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts on each side of the line of control and will be administered by United Nations or other impartial global spectators. All residents of the Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts, including exiles, will be allowed and urged to cast a ballot in the mandate. The votes of the Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts will be counted together, so the outcomes will be no different for the two areas. If a larger part of their residents vote to remain part of Ukraine, the Donbas district will be forever neutralized with the withdrawal of all Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. As recently consented to by Ukraine under the Minsk II arrangement, Ukraine's constitution will likewise be revised to ensure the privileges of Russian-talking minorities. Nonetheless, in the event that the Donbas locale votes in favor of autonomy, all Ukrainian soldiers will be removed. Russian soldiers might stay provided that welcome to do as such by the Luhansk and Donetsk Republic states. No matter what the result of the mandate, Ukraine consents to make Russian one of its true dialects once more. 5. Russia will uphold Ukraine's application to join the European Union. 6. Ukraine will for all time suspend all NATO ties, including military coaches, trades, and joint military activities, alongside all NATO arms shipments with the exception of little arms. Also, Ukraine will disallow the positioning of NATO troops or bases on its area. Ukraine likewise consents to end its participation in the NATO Partnership for Peace program and end its November 2021 key organization concurrence with the United States. 7. Ukraine will decrease its ground powers to something like 150,000 well-trained troops and a limit of 100,000 soldiers for possible later use. 8. Ukraine consents to annihilate all of its strike frameworks under Russian watch. This arrangement would almost certainly be deciphered by Russian moderators to incorporate Warriors, contender planes, aircraft, assault airplane, helicopter gunships and UAVs outfitted with bombs, rockets, gunnery and mortars bigger than 155 mm in type, various rocket launchers, long-range rockets, voyage rockets, and medium to long-run surface-to-air rockets. Ukraine will be precluded from creating or securing any of these explicitly prohibited weapon frameworks. For a particular rundown of Ukrainian weapons that Russia would probably consider strike frameworks, kindly see my past article How Biden Can End the War in Ukraine. Furthermore, Ukraine will be disallowed from creating weapons of mass obliteration including atomic, natural, or synthetic weapons, and will close down every one of the 26 of its U.S.-supported natural exploration labs in the span of a half year of the consenting to of this arrangement and permit Russian examiners to get to the labs to guarantee that they are shut. 9. All detainees of war, displaced people, and any regular citizens in imprisonment will be gotten back to their particular nations with their treatment and care represented by the arrangements of the Geneva Convention. 10. There will be no repayments given by one or the other side and no worldwide atrocities councils. Any atrocities councils will be directed by the countries to whom the culpable soldiers have a place. 11. The United States and European Union will consent to give the fundamental measure of monetary guide to aid the course of Ukraine's recreation. 12. Full strategic relations among Russia and Ukraine, as well as among Russia and all NATO nations, will be re-established following the consenting to of this arrangement. 13. Upon the execution of this non-aggression treaty by the two players, all post-intrusion monetary assents set against Russia will be promptly cancelled and any open and confidential Russian monetary and financial resources that were held onto will be gotten back to their proprietors. Contingent on Russian adherence to its terms, the two sides consent to standardize exchange relations in something like a year of the consenting to of this arrangement. 14. The United States and NATO will give composed ensures that NATO won't ever extend toward the east into extra previous Soviet republics or along Russia's boundaries, for example Finland. In return for these ensures, Russia will submit to Sweden's climb into NATO as well as that of whatever other European country that doesn't line Russia and wishes to join the Union. 15. Russia and NATO consent to start conversations to remember Russia for the security engineering of UOP. Recharge the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces, INF, Treaty, and arrange a follow-on consent to the Conventional Armed Forces in Europe, CFE, settlement. A follow-on consent to the CFE settlement will decrease the quantity of American, Western European NATO, and Russian soldiers and bases in Eastern Europe.